What will tomorrow bring? I mean that both figuratively and literally. We don't know what tomorrow will bring. We don't even know what the rest of today will bring. As the news headlines keep coming out, new and horrific and terrible things are afoot. We have many that are dedicated to the suppression of our rights, the taking away, the destruction of our way of life. What is certain is uncertainty. What will certainly change is that there will be more change. There will be war. There will be rumors of war. There will be more disasters. There will be more destruction. There will be financial collapse. And there will be even more than all those things. The question is will we be prepared to face the storms that are coming? Or will we be unprepared? Perhaps there are more storms ahead than there have been behind. Sometimes those storms strike us and people that we love and care about. Sometimes the storms strike far away in other nations and other lands. But the storms keep coming. The change keeps coming. And things that were unthinkable yesterday have happened today. And things that are unthinkable to us today will happen tomorrow. True change is coming, and we can see some of these things coming our way. Things that are all but inevitable. The collapse of the U.S. dollar, the collapse of the U.S. financial system, World War III. All these things seem to be set up in such a way that it's going to be hard to avert these disasters. I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the things that we can glean from other disasters that happen in other countries. Some of the important lessons that many, even channels on YouTube, miss. Things that truly make a difference in the survival of people. And in the end, we're going to find that a lot of these things are not so much things that you can stockpile and purchase, but rather things that you become, things that you are, and the people that you surround yourself with. So let's jump into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant. I don't do all that much accounting anymore. A lot of my life is now wrapped up in talking with you guys and working on this channel. So if you appreciate what we do here, please hit the thumbs up button. We're trying to do a little bit more as the days go forward. Our website is in process to a major upgrade. If you're not already checking out our website, we post a lot of news over there at thepoplarreport.com. We do want to thank our sponsor, Genesis Gold Group. They do a fantastic job getting people out of stocks and bonds in their retirement portfolios into stuff that's more stable, like gold, silver, and platinum coins. If you want to get more information, Jonathan and his team would love to give you some more information. There'll be a link at the end of the video. I really believe in that. Getting your assets out of paper dollars into something that's more tangible, something that's more real, is a big thing. Well, we just had Al-Qaeda's leader out there threatening to attack the United States like 9/11. I don't know if you heard about that on the newswire or at any of the mainstream outlets out there, but he was calling for the killing of Jews and U.S. and U.K. nationals. So I think most of the people who watch this channel have just fallen under one of those categories. So Al-Qaeda has threatened to kill us. Basically, if the attack on Gaza went forward, and the attack on Gaza was gone forward, hasn't it? So what does it say about Al-Qaeda is now at war with U.S. and U.K. nationals? The Wall Street Journal had an interesting article that just came out today that said basically that the U.S. stopped spying on Hamas. After 9/11, they basically handed all that responsibility over to Israel. And so when we look at the failure of intelligence on this attack on October 7th, how could that have happened without anybody knowing about it? Well, part of the reason is because the United States was too busy spying on people here in the United States that are a different political persuasion than the government currently. How many different agents were on the scene in Washington, D.C. when that went down. But we find that practically no agents or no spies were on the scene inside Gaza. So take that for what you will. I've had the privilege of traveling a fair bit. I've been to 50 countries now in my life. Places like Honduras, which are pretty rough, to El Salvador, to the killing fields of Cambodia, to Sarajevo in Bosnia. I have selected and have pursued going to places where great events of history have taken place. Traveling through Vietnam, some of the mountains that I worked with in Central Asia, which I won't get too specific on, where they told me the stories of how they survived attacks long ago, how they used to hide up in the caves, up in the mountains, while their fields and everything in the valleys got pillaged and looted. And also how the people in Central Asia handled the civil wars that have happened in more recent years. The Greek monasteries of Matora, how they used to, how they survived the raids by people coming in to steal and to pillage the area. How they built these monasteries up on these rock columns in order to get them out of the reach of the raiders and people coming to pillage. And one of the things that really struck me so much more were several phrases that I heard repeated over and over again. The ones who have survived the crises in recent history often repeated the phrase, "We never thought it could happen here." I heard that quite a few times. Heard that in South Africa. Heard that in Bosnia. Heard that in some of the ethnic conflicts that we've seen recently. Kosovo. And the civil wars in Central Asia. Just, they never thought it could happen to them. And I think a lot of Americans, a lot of people in the UK and Australia, think very similar things. It can't happen here. It couldn't happen here. And yet we see the increasing violence of what's happening in the cities. There are things happening in our cities that never happened in Iraq. There are more dangerous streets in the United States cities than there were in Iraq, even in the height of the fighting. And that's saying something, right? That is saying something. We never thought it could happen here in the United States, and yet it is happening on a daily basis in some places in the United States. All we're now afraid of and thinking as unthinkable is that that violence may spread to other areas where we may live, areas where we may have friends and family members. But not only that, but the other thing that really struck me so hard was how important it was, this sense of community. It was the sense of community, it was the collective action of groups of people that kept people alive. The loners in places like Auschwitz, where the Nazis were murdering Jews. In places like that, it was the collective community spirit that kept so many alive, as they found a way to resist within their own minds. In Sarajevo, which was cut off from all supplies from outside, they managed to survive together. They found ways of collectively resisting and resourcefulness that they found within their community. I know that in a lot of preparedness communities, the emphasis is on individuality, taking care of yourself and a very small group of people. But yet, when I look back at history, I see that it is the groups, the people that were able to band together and form organizations that were able to truly resist. One of the most inspiring stories came from Warsaw. There is a museum in Warsaw nowadays called Warsaw Rising, and it was dedicated to the people of Warsaw who rose up in defiance against the Germans and fought them from street to street. They did it twice, actually. And when they were coming for the ghetto, coming for the Jews in the ghetto, the Jews rose up and defied the German army. And it took many, many months for the Germans to get control of this ghetto that rose up in defiance against the Germans. And then years later, as the Russian army was approaching, the Polish resistance rose up and seized the city again and fought back against the Germans. By the end of the war, the entire city had been flattened. They have video reconstruction that uses photos from the time to reconstruct what the city looked like before and what the city looked like after. And the 3D modeling of that is just astonishing. That they use bulldozers, they use bombers, they flatten the city. And yet, even in the midst of the rubble, the Polish resistance, both Jewish and secular, continue to fight back through tunnels and from the basements of the buildings. They chose to work together to resist. And what is coming in the coming days, it may be more important who you know than what you've done. Your individual preparations, I'm not saying are not important. They are absolutely very important. Having resources will give you a lot of options. But also don't forget that the people that you are connected with, the people that know you and you know, are so very critical. And beyond all of these things, there is this hope. There is this purpose that the people that survived these many catastrophes found. They found a reason to keep fighting. They found a reason to struggle on, to hide. And this is something that I don't know that you can read in a book, except for one book. I always recommend the Word of God, the Bible. And I know so many people who have found hope in that book. And if you don't know about my Bible study channel, I actually have a weekday Bible study that I do over at Poplar's Bible Studies. If you haven't already seen that channel, invite you to join us over there as we study through the book of Genesis. But this idea of hope and determination is something that has to be found one-on-one. This is between you and God. This is between you and yourself. Will you have the determination or will you quit? Because that's what happens so often in disaster situations, is that people quit. They lose heart, they lose hope, and surrounding yourself with other people who are determined can really, really lift your spirits. But in the end, there will be dark moments where you will have to determine in yourself whether it is worth continuing on. What will tomorrow bring? I don't know. If history is any thing to go on, hard times will come to some people on the planet. And if we have another cycle of destruction like World War III, we will find that that hard times and destruction will come for many people in the world at the same time. Cycles like these will come and go. Is this the end of the world? I don't know. Some of you are flipping through your book of Revelation and you're assigning names and numbers to every and nations to every little thing in there. And maybe you're right. Maybe you're wrong. Many people over history have tried to see how that they are in the end times, and it's human nature to think that we are in important times. And perhaps we are. Perhaps we are in the end times. But that doesn't change how we should respond to these things. We need to hold on to our faith, or we need to find faith. And it's going to be important in these days what our faith is in. Is it in God? Is it placed in something that will let us down? When your faith is placed in your nation or in peaceful society, and those things fail you, that is some of the most devastating, heartbreaking type of thing. When someone has placed their faith in a person or something that will fail them, it is hard for them to get back up again. Some people have wrapped up their identity in a marriage or in certain family members. And yet all of these things will pass away, sometimes faster than others. So what is it in the future that will keep you going? What is your why? What is your hope in? Is it in something stable? Or is it in something that could potentially let you down? If your hope is in your comforts, friends, that's not a very secure hope. If your hope is in your government to come save you or some political party to save you, they're probably going to disappoint you. And what are you going to do then? Think about where your hope is. Think about who you're surrounding yourself with, because these are very important questions as the days go forward. The days do look like they are getting darker, but if you have your hope placed in something greater, you may find yourself able to walk through those tough times. Friends, I hope to see you on the other side, and we'll keep walking together until we do. But until then, thanks so much for watching. If you want to get some more information about Genesis Gold and what you can do to secure your retirement funds a little better, there's a link right here. And there's another video from the channel right up here. I will see you guys later. God bless you all. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report out.